There is a battle being fought in the media, in the press, and you need to be equipped with the facts on the ground and the facts of history. Well, welcome back to part 2 as we're kind of delving into the history here. What is the history of this Israeli-Palestinian conflict that just dominates the news cycle? I mean, it's front and center in the news cycle, then it'll go away for 6 months, and then it erupts again. My entire lifetime, this has been here. What is the truth behind these headlines? If you didn't see the first video, go back and watch the first video. But right now, we're coming now finally to modern times. And so we see that in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, far before Hitler, far before the Holocaust, because the media would say to you that the land of Israel is this colonial experiment, this imperialistic experiment of a guilt-ridden Europe over the Holocaust. No, Jews were coming back here. And by the way, not just European Jews. You can't walk the streets of Jerusalem and not see Jews of color from everywhere. Jews from Yemen, from Morocco, from Iraq, from Iran, from Egypt. All over the place, you see the diversity of the Jewish people. So this narrative that is an absolute deception being taught at Columbia and these institutes of supposed higher learning, 5 minutes in this country, and you understand, look at all the Ethiopian Jews that are here. This is not a white colonial experiment. So we come now to the time of Hitler, to the time of the Holocaust. There has been a steady stream of Jewish people returning home for at least a century now, beginning in the 1800s. And they've been coming back and building the land and building the area. At times, there is great cooperation between the Jews and the Arabs. And at other times, there are bloody attacks upon the Jews by the Arabs. So it's a very complicated history, but then now you're coming into the 1930s, the 1940s, and what do we have? The British Mandate is coming to an end. The United Nations votes November the 29th, 1947. There is a global vote, a legal vote in the UN. The entire world participates. Israel does not do this militarily. Israel does not do this covertly. Israel follows along the dictates of the UN and comes to the place on November the 29th, 1947, when what was declared? A two-state solution. There will be two states. There'll be a state for the Jews and there'll be a state for the Arabs. How many times have you heard that phrase, two-state solution? That's what was called for on November 29th. And the Jews said, yes, we'll take it. We'll accept it. The land they were offered was far smaller than the current land of Israel, but they joyfully accepted. They wept, they danced in the streets, and they believed that their dream had come true. Now, we're getting to the core of this whole point of this last video and this one. Because now we come, this is November, we've got November to May, because on May 14th, the British Mandate ends. And there's the end of that rule. We had the British Mandate, before that was the Ottomans, before that was the Byzantines, and you go all back through history. Never the Palestinians. There was never a Palestinian nation here, ever. So we come to the end of the British Mandate. The Jews have accepted the partition plan. They've accepted the two-state solution. And what happens? 5 Arab nations who all have inhabitants here, because I'm living here, but my grandmother's from Jordan. I'm living here, but my family is in Egypt. This is a territory. This is a region. It's not a defined nation. We have this concept of nation states, so with such clear borders that only appeared after World War II. Prior to World War II, there were territories, there were areas. It was not this closely defined border system that we know of in the modern world. Israel accepts the partition plan. 5 Arab nations call upon the local Arabs who are living here as well, who have their roots in Egypt, their roots in Lebanon. Jordan is right there. Right behind me is Jordan. And they say, rise up, we're going to finish what Hitler started. We're going to drive the Jews into the sea. Does that sound familiar? From the river to the sea? There were only about 600,000 Jews living here at the time, and they just escaped Auschwitz. They'd just come out of the Holocaust. They began fighting for their lives. Now, why is this important? Because this is what the media would want you to believe was the Nakba. The Nakba, this horrible time where Jews rose up against Palestinians. Jews accepted the partition plan. They were immediately attacked by all of the Arab nations living around them. And those Arab nations came into collusion with the Arabs who would support them living here. Now, the Arabs who took Ben-Gurion at his word, Ben-Gurion said, we are happy to live in peaceful coexistence with the Arabs in this land. We stretch our hand out in friendship. Those Arabs today are the Israeli Arabs. They make up almost 20% of Israel's population. Their standard of living is higher than anywhere else in the Middle East. Their human rights, the rights of women, the rights of religious minorities, freedom of the press, they have full rights as citizens. They are Israeli Arabs because they did not attack and try to kill the Jewish people. But those who attacked, or those who believed that the surrounding nations were going to win, they ran away. These became the refugees. That's a whole other video that will talk about the refugee problem. We can't get into that today. But at the time, there's differing numbers. It was somewhere between 300,000 to 600,000 refugees at that time, Arab refugees, which now today, in their mind, has swelled to 5 million, 6 million. Why? Because this is the longest unsolved refugee problem in human history. You now have 3 and 4 generations of refugees. For how many generations is the world going to allow these people to continue in this status? Why does Jordan not help? Why does Egypt not help? Why are they still in Lebanon, not repatriated and taken back? These are all of the questions that the world doesn't answer. Why? Because the surrounding Arab world is still fighting the same battle from 1948. Radical Islam cannot tolerate a Jewish state in this land. And so radical Islam will use the force of Hamas and Hezbollah on one hand, the warfare of the gun, the warfare of the tank, and they will use ideological warfare, academic warfare, media warfare on the other hand. Let's create confusion. Let's create chaos in people's minds and obscure the facts for them. The fact of the matter is this: the Jewish people are the indigenous people of this land going back 3,000 years. And though they have been dispersed and come back time after time, there always has been a Jewish remnant in this land. Their modern day return predated the Holocaust by decades. So this is not some white colonial imperialistic guilt being enforced upon this land. And the Jewish people agreed repeatedly to live in peaceful coexistence with the Arabs time after time after time. But we're still here because Israel has not found a genuine partner for peace in the Palestinian community. Who is Israel going to build with? Hamas? With the PLO? Where are the Martin Luther Kings of the Palestinian people? Where are the Nelson Mandelas of the Palestinian people? Where are those who are going to say to the Palestinian people, let's lay down our arms, let's lay down our racist, violent ideology, and let's become a modern people who embrace reality and begin to walk alongside and build a future for ourselves. The Jewish people are waiting, as they've been waiting since 1947, for a partner for peace. Take this truth, take these facts, take this history, take this narrative, and make it a weapon in your hands. Because I'm telling you, there is a battle being fought in the media, in the press, in higher academic institutions, and you need to be equipped with the facts on the ground and the facts of history. Use this in a powerful way. Thanks for dropping by. I'll see you the next time.